Hey guys, I'm back. New vinyl video. Again, I'm testing out this background, seeing what works well with the lighting. There is some glare over here, so hopefully it doesn't distract you guys too much. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out what works best with my lighting, so hopefully this is a little bit better, but we'll see. So, starting off with what is playing in the background, a new CD pickup. This is the Jazz June with After the Earthquake. I've enjoyed what I've heard of it so far, so I figured I'd give it a listen, a proper go, and I don't know, I'm kind of liking it so far. So, the Jazz June After the Earthquake. Decent album. So, there's going to be a lot of classic albums here, but there's also going to be some Grails that you'll see near the end. And even a box set, which isn't like me, because I don't normally go for box sets. But, no 7s this time around, and no cassettes. I just haven't picked any up recently, so let's start off with the 1983 album by Eurythmics. This is Sweet Dreams Are Made of This. Of course, features the title track, Sweet Dreams. An 80s classic. There's the back. The original inner sleeve, or what I assume is the original inner sleeve. There it is on the white, custom RCA label. If I don't drop it on my bed there, luckily it's clean. But yes, there it is, a nice clean copy of that on the white RCA label. Really enjoyed this album. There were a couple of parts here and there I didn't enjoy, but for the most part this is a really good album, and highly recommend getting this if you can find it. Hall & Oates next. Now before you click off the video, I do like Hall & Oates, yes. This is their album Private Eyes. This is one I didn't have yet. 1980, don't tell me. 1 is the year on this. This of course has their really big songs, Private Eyes and I Can't Go For That, No Can Do, which was sampled by De La Soul, one of my favorite hip hop groups. The black RCA label this time. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can see that, that's cool. And it also came with the original lyric sheet. There it is. Really good stuff, actually. I do quite like Hall & Oates. So I will be picking up more of their albums in the near future, I should imagine. So if you don't like Hall & Oates, I suggest you don't judge me, please. For starters, because I know a lot of people do like Hall & Oates, some people don't like Hall & Oates, but it's all down to preference. There it is, Hall & Oates with Private Eyes. One of their better albums, I'll be honest, even though I am a fan of Hall & Oates. There are a couple albums that are a bit iffy, but this one's just great from start to finish, so no complaints from me. And again, don't click off the video, but Phil Collins, No Jacket Required, the only Phil album, well, of his first 4 that I was missing on vinyl. I did have this on CD already, but figured I'd pick this up. Original inner still intact, and all of his albums have a custom label, which is really nice. I feel he was he still at Genesis at this time? I believe he was, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he was, and left in the mid-90s, but yes, 85's the year on this album. Not my favorite Phil album, but again, Susudio's on this album, Long Way to Go is on here, One More Night is on here, Inside Out is on here, and then the closing track, Take Me Home, is a great one as well. So still some great stuff on here, even though it is not my favourite Phil album like I just said, but still worth getting. that's the 80s stuff out of the way. Let's move on to some, well, I say 80s, what I mean is like 80s pop, I guess. Onto some classic rock. Starting it off with Joe Walsh, but seriously, not my favourite album. The closing track on here, Life's Been Good, is a great track. I'm not going to tell you who sampled that, because you guys will have to do some research on that. There's the inside there, and then the back of the gatefold is an incredible, incredible artwork on this thing. I do quite like the artwork, actually. I like that inner sleeve as well. I think on there are other albums that have this exact same inner. Anyway, on Asylum Records. And yeah, just not a great album, but definitely good in parts. But like I said, I just picked it up because the closing track is sampled by one of my favourite rappers, who I've talked about multiple times on this channel. So if you guys have been subscribed to this channel for a while, you know who I'm talking about. Next up is an artist and a band I think is vastly underrated here in the VC, and this is Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band with the album Stranger in Town. 1978's the year on this. It's got the song Old Time Rock and Roll, which was on the film Risky Business, or in the film Risky Business, on the soundtrack to that film. Yeah, it's also got We've Got Tonight, and then my favourite Bob Seger song, which is also the closing track to this album, the famous Final Scene. Original inner, and this is on the Purple Capital label, and purple is probably one of my favourite colours, so anything on that Purple Capital label I'm going to be a sucker for. So of course I'm going to pick up some Bob Seger. This and Against the Wind I already have now, so I don't really know where to go from here. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. Next up is an album I don't hear a lot of people talk about, even if they're fans of this album. That's Secret Messages by ELO. 83 is the year on this, of course on Jet Records. But again, one that I think is vastly underrated by a lot of fans of ELO and should be talked about a bit more. There is on Jet Records, that famous label that ELO has on all of their albums, I think. Maybe. But yes, I actually really enjoyed this album. No, not my favourite, but would honestly probably make my top 5 ELO albums, I will be honest with you. Just because I did quite enjoy it, but hey, there it is. Next up is an album by a band I'm getting into a bit slowly. This is Goat's Head Soup by Rolling Stones, my favourite Stones album. 73 I think is the year on this, but this is a French reissue from 1979. Inner sleeve there. Well, not inner sleeve, I guess inner technically. Comes with that artwork, also comes with that artwork. Oh, and that's on the back as well. Credits, I'm guessing. Yep. And it, of course, has that famous custom Virgin Rolling Stones label there. And I really enjoyed this album. I think it's vastly overlooked by a lot of Stones fans, but I do thoroughly enjoy this album. Probably the first Stones album, I'll be honest, I've been able to just sit down and listen to from start to finish. The other two that I have, I've had to occupy myself doing other things while listening to them. So again, great album. Don't really know what else to say about it, except that it's just, like I've already said, vastly, vastly overlooked by a lot of Stones fans, I feel. So, but still a fantastic album. Next up, another one of my favourite artists, Mr. Eric Clapton. His album from 1989, Journeyman. A great way to come back after his awful, not so success for 80s period. I already showed this on CD, and this is probably my favourite Clapton album. Pretending, Anything for Your Love, both opening tracks are great. Hound Dog is on here, which is great. Before You Accuse Me is on here, which is another fantastic song. Original Inner on the Duck record label. So again, great album. Clapton does not put a foot wrong on this album, I must be honest. And definitely a very, very strong one from him. Time for some soul and funk. It wouldn't be my channel if I didn't show off some soul and funk. And first thing I'm going to show is an upgrade copy. I needed a better copy of this. This is George McRae, Rock Your Baby. Not his best album, not his strongest album at all, but definitely that the opening track, Rock Your Baby, is a very good track. 1974 is the year on this, and this is on J-Boy Records there. Mine was one I had before. The cover was bad. The cover wasn't brilliant. The vinyl wasn't great, but this is an almost perfect copy, with the cover being a bit mashed up, but the record is perfect. So nice upgrade copy of that. Next up is an album by BT Express. This is Function at the Junction. A great album by them. 1977, of course, is the year on this one. And yeah, just great stuff here. BT Express, I don't think has a bad album. Orange EMI International label there. And yeah, BT Express, very nice stuff, very funky, and probably one of my favorite bands in the genre. Now, some Marvin Gaye. A lot of people know I'm a big Marvin Gaye fan. Particularly all of his stuff from about 71 through to 82 is probably my favorite period, and then of his 60s stuff, outside of his Nat King Cole covers album, my favorite stuff he did in the 60s is the stuff he did with Tammy Terrell. So picking up this compilation was a really nice decision. This was released in 74, even though it contains songs from 69 and 67. It's on the yellow Music for Pleasure label, and as the label says, it does sound superb. Fantastic recording, fantastic pressing of this album, of this compilation. So I could recommend this to anyone who's trying to get into the Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell side of things. Great album, great pickup. Final thing from the funk and soul genre is this American pressing of Bobby Womack's 1971 album Communication. Very strong album by him. Nice pickup there. It is an import because the corner's been clipped. Either the corner gets cut off or there's a clip up here somewhere, or on here or here. I've shown it off before, but yeah, there it is, the inside of the gatefold there, and this is on United Artists, that record label. So yeah, fantastic pickup, and definitely one of Bobby's strongest albums. Next up is a brand new album. This is by Evidence. This is the album Whether or Not. Already charted all over the world. Strong competitor already for Album of the Year. So yeah, and getting this out of the sleeve is going to be a lot of fun. Oh, that was easy. And this is, despite what the gatefold might make you believe, this is a double album. Has a booklet in here. This booklet has all the credits and things, so that's nice. And I'm only going to show off one of the records because it'll be a pain to show them both. There's the custom label on that. The only thing I don't like is that you have to look in the booklet for the track listing. But there it is, that's the colour of the vinyl. You can't really see that very well, it's like a greeny, bluish sort of colour. Turquoise, I guess, but I don't really like the colour of it. I wish it was a little bit more interesting than that, or just standard black vinyl, but it kind of works with the colour of the album cover, so I can't complain too much, I suppose. But yeah, Evidence did a really good job with this album. The pressing isn't great, there is a lot of surface noise and quiet parts, but the album itself is just fantastic. I've already been listening to it quite a bit digitally as well, because you do get a free download with this album, and I've enjoyed it from start to finish. So again, a very, very strong start to the year. If you are a fan of boom bap hip hop, that is a great album to pick up for sure. So make sure you get that and check that out, because that is a fantastic, fantastic album by him. That Evidence album had me intrigued from the first track, and I enjoyed the whole thing. The only new album I picked up this month, the only new one I guess I really checked out. So any recommendations are all welcome. I know there's loads of new albums out there that I'm still yet to check out. So for now, that Evidence album, fantastic album, and a strong contender already for album of the year. So on to some Grails, I guess I'm going to call these. First one is one I've been looking for a while, and yes, it's not like me to actually hunt for psychedelic rock albums, but this is one I have been looking for. This is 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus by Spirit. One I hardly ever see. 1970 is the year on this, and it's I know it's an 80s reissue just by this up here in the corner, but I also know that because of the label. It's on the blue Epic label, which means it's an 80s repress. But it's a nice mint copy, and I actually really enjoyed this album from start to finish. So no complaints from me on this one, to be honest with you guys. So yeah, Spirit. Not the first pick I would go for, because it's psychedelic rock. It's probably the genre I know the least about, but definitely one that I'm willing to give a go at any point. This next one was kind of a blind buy, but I didn't pay a lot for it, so it's alright. This is the 1993 release from the Boo Radleys, Giant Steps. Didn't really know what to think about this one. Of course, first press is the only press, UK press. The only other copies of this are on CD. Little bit of damage on the cover here, but there's nothing that cannot be fixed. Inside the gatefold there, I do like the artwork of this album, so I guess it's worth picking up for that perspective, but I kind of have to give it another listen. There's the custom label, by the way. Nice mint copy of this album. I have to give it another listen, but whether it's staying in the collection or not, I'm still not 100% sure yet. If there's someone out there who wants this a bit more than I do, I'll be willing to trade or sell it, whatever you want. But for now, you know, I mean, that might put a lot of people off, but Boo Radley's Giant Steps, still not sure how I feel about that. So I'll let you guys know with an annotation on the screen. Next up is a first pressing of a band that I've talked about in the past, but it's one of those ones I've talked about that's really hard to find here in my area. So AC/DC, Arcade Fire, but that's a given. Black Sabbath and Kiss, I guess, are the four really big bands that are hard to find here. but excluding Arcade Fire, because that's kind of a given that they've only got 5 albums out, maybe. Anyway, this is a first pressing of Black Sabbath's Master of Reality. Ooh, you can't really see that well, but if you know the cover, you know that this. There's the reverse. It's embossed on the cover, so that's how I know it's a first pressing. But also the fact that it is on the Vertigo Swirl label. Now it's a bit crackly in quiet parts, but in loud parts it sounds incredible. And it's a shame it doesn't have the poster with it, but I'm not really too bothered about the poster, given the fact that what you pay for is what you get. So without a poster, you get a nice record that's a first pressing that can still go for quite a bit of money. Next up is this 2003 reissue of Black Sabbath Volume 4. Now, it's on 180 gram, but it's a really good 180 gram repress, actually. I didn't know what to expect, given that it was a repress. Shame it is not original, but yeah, these two came off the same guy off of Facebook, so I'm pretty proud with that. I trusted the guy that they were in mint condition because I had bought some records off him before. There it is on the Earmark label, not on Vertigo, so it is a German? Nope, Italian. This is Italian, not German. I was miles off. But yeah, actually really good pressing of the album. Didn't know what to expect, considering that these reissues can be, or these mid-90s, early 2000s reissues can be a bit iffy, especially on 180 gram vinyl, but it actually sounds really good in my opinion. Of course I can't compare it to an original because I haven't got one, because that's how hard they are to find. But some hip hop albums here, 90s to early 2000s hip hop albums, my favourite era of hip hop personally, and for me anything within that era for hip hop is going to be a Grail, starting off with one of my favourite hip hop producers. In fact, this is my favourite hip hop producer, DJ Premier. This is Unreleased Instrumentals Volume 5. Blank label on that side, but both sides have got some instrumentals on them. Fantastic album, and yeah, just a great album. I really enjoyed that from start to finish, so great. Glad that I picked that up. Next one is another DJ Premier album. This is Golden Years, the remixes. So just loads of remixes of stuff he's done. Mobb Deep. There's a Mobb Deep remix on here, a Janet Jackson remix on here. Fat Joe, Das EFX. Of course, these names, apart from Janet Jackson, these names aren't really going to mean much to anyone who's not into hip hop. Double LP set here, very nice. It's a shame the red, you can't really read it because of the colour of the cover, but a great album nonetheless. Next up is this 1993 reissue of the 1992 album by C.L. Smooth and Pete Rock, Mecca and the Soul Brother. Plays perfectly until you get to side 4, where there's a lot of skipping. I don't know if that's because the record's slightly dusty or whatever. I haven't tried cleaning it yet and then listening to it again, but I'll give that a go and see if I need to find an upgrade copy of this, but definitely a must-have hip-hop album if you are a hip-hop collector. Next up is one of my favourite hip-hop groups, personally, Brand Nubian. This is their album Foundation from 1998 on Arista Records. I don't know how well you can see that. It looks alright. From here, that is a gold stamp promo. In fact, let me take it out of the jacket there, just so you guys can see that a bit better. Gold stamp promo. Gatefold. Really nice there. And like I said, it's on the Arista label. It's on that Arista label. But again, 90s originals, 90s hip-hop original pressings, really hard to find here in the UK as well. So really glad to have these. Really nice copy of this. And this is an American pressing, so really nice to have that. Final hip-hop album here is by A Tribe Called Quest, and this is People's Instinctive Travels and the Paths of Rhythm. I had to read that off of the album jacket because I always get the name of this album wrong. This is a French pressing of their 1990 debut album, of course from 1990, first press on Jive Records. Really good pressing, original inner and all. All of these hip hop albums have their original inners, except unless Brand New didn't come with one, which I don't think it did. But yeah, there it is on the black Jive label. These French pressings of 90s albums are all really good, actually. I'm surprised, but it sounds incredible. This, of course, is probably Tribe's best album. Without a doubt, actually. Has songs like Push It Along, The Luck of Lucian, I Left My Wallet in El Segundo, Bonita Applebum, Can I Kick It is on here. So yeah, just a fantastic album from start to finish. And finally, a box set, which I don't normally go for, but I picked it up. This is the 2017 release by the XX, their album I See You, which I guess reflects in the cover. Sorry about the pun, unintentional there, but hey. Comes with quite a few pieces, actually, if I'm honest with you guys. Yeah, it comes with a few pieces. Comes with this 2 CD set. This one has some unreleased songs and some demos. This one is the actual album on CD. Nice to have that. It came with some artworks. 3 of them to be exact. And then just vinyl versions of the CDs, except this one is missing a track because it's missing the video that it doesn't come with. So there's that. And then of course you get the album on 180 gram vinyl. There it is. Lyrics. Are they lyrics? Yep, they're lyrics. They're the back there. And then custom label. It's just standard black vinyl. But normally I wouldn't go for box sets, but I got this one almost half price of what it would be brand new anyway. In fact, I got this over half price of what it would be brand new. So I am really glad to have that now on vinyl. Really nice pressing. Normally these new albums, they have a lot of surface noise on them, but this one didn't, and I was really surprised. But it sounds incredible, definitely sounds great, and an album I recommend if you are into that electronic chill sort of vibe. But yes, there it is, the XX with I See You. So that is it, guys. That's it for this vinyl haul. Quite a big one. I'll try and make the next one a little bit shorter, but there were some classic albums here. You saw a new release, you saw some Grails even, so yeah, there we go. Thank you guys so much for tuning back into the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.